Join us as we search Alaska and beyond for mysterious creatures, featuring Beans Baxter and Rob Roy Menzies. This is the Alaska Bigfoot Studies. Hey guys, it's Chuke here from the Alaska Bigfoot Studies. Today I'm wearing my Alasquatch podcast t-shirt. Be sure to check out Bean's website. I'll also be spending some time with the Cryptid Wilderness Research podcast and of course going out to Rob's shop. But I wanted to talk about the woo factor. Now that is a term that is thrown around in the Bigfoot community. The woo factor has to do with any type of paranormal ability that Bigfoot has, and about his entire being, how he came about. And I do admit that I am leaning more and more that way every year. I do think that the North American primate camp is awesome too, and I have no doubt that in some areas that's all it is just some creature that has survived and is super smart and able to hide its remains and destroy it or something. We just haven't found proof of it. I think that's possible, but at some point you'd think we would have found a little more. So one of the reasons why I tend to lean towards the woo factor is, first of all, we have a lot of encounters and people talking about disappearing mind speak, the telepathy, having an overwhelming calm sensation or even fear when interacting with the Bigfoot. And then there is the evidence of whenever you talk to someone from a Native American tribe that knows a lot about the subject, it is steeped in the culture and spirituality, and many times they will say, yes, this creature is from another place and has these abilities. Now, what's really interesting is if you read Bean's book on Port Chatham, he goes into the actual beginnings of the legend of the Port Chatham creature that was not a very nice creature. And if you go back to the root of it, it was a human who had been turned into a Sasquatch. Now, what I think is interesting about that, it is very similar to the legend of Gabriel Fox in Western Alaska, who was a kid that ran away from a group home, and he, in order to survive, he transformed into a massive Sasquatch and was later taken by the military for study. And people still believe that in some areas. It's just a mind-blowing story. It's really interesting. But when it comes down to it, a lot of people talk crap about the astronaut theorists because of ancient aliens getting blown out so much. But if you go back and look at the original books, Chariots of the Gods and that kind of thing, there's actually a lot of good points from the ancient astronaut theory camp. And now that we have, the books from Zechariah Stitchin coming in about the Anunnaki and even the Nephilim, all that is connected to some stories of Bigfoot, I believe. Not all of them, but I don't think it can be ignored when you've got this crazy evidence of all these legends from ancient Mesopotamia of these entities coming down from the sky. Some of them are, having relations with humans and having this giant offspring that are not very nice, and they're like monsters, especially when we talk about the Bigfoot that have abilities or are not so nice. Now, I do enjoy some of the podcasts from the Nephilim camp, and I'm probably going to continue researching that. But thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next Sunday. Let's check in with Rob Roy Menzies at the shop. I am back behind the scenes.
Yeah, we're behind the scenes today.
The Bigfoot Art Gallery is so busy now, we cannot even film in the gallery because there's people coming in, and you've just been slammed with framing projects.
Yeah, framing, right? Christmas is a deadline. It's a serious deadline. And when people, they come in, and it started, like I said, in November, and it didn't stop until about 3 days before Christmas. So I build, Pia out there, she cuts the mats. We do everything by hand. Mm-hmm. So the framing, we get in 9-foot sticks. So I cut the frames here. I put them together on my table, got to assemble, glue them. Then I got to cut the glass and then assemble them.
Right.
So it's a lot of work, and it gets pretty overwhelming when you have to get you know, 5 to 6 frames done a day.
That's so much.
And then talking to customers, and there are a few that come in and specifically want to see me. So
right,
that, you know, takes me away from getting the work done. But it all worked out. It was very, very busy this Christmas. So.
And people can order your original Bigfoot art prints from the website.
To log in or just send me a message and say, Rob, you know, I want an 8x10 of this picture or something. That you'll see it on my Facebook. Most of my Bigfoot art is on my Facebook page, so you can go into the pictures, and that's what most people do. I usually get people calling here requesting an 8x10 or something, and we'll send it to them.
Nice.
So there are a lot of people here. I sold a bunch. Actually sold a non-Bigfoot painting I did.
Really?
Which was cool.
What was it of?
The 2 old trucks that I painted.
Okay.
I sold a copy of that. That was exciting. It's always fun to sell something besides Bigfoot. But,
yeah.
But no, a lot of people do buy my Bigfoot art. That's already, you know, we frame it here and mat it and frame it, put it on the wall. But it goes pretty fast. There's a lot of holes on the walls. I gotta.
You gotta fill them up.
Gotta fill everything back up. We just got slammed. So.
I love it. Well, I remembered one of the things I wanted to talk about.
Good.
So I love hanging out with you guys because you guys are kind of, I feel like you lean towards the North American primate camp.
Yeah.
Where I am leaning every year more and more towards the woo factor. So I wanted to talk about kind of what you think about the woo factor when it comes to Bigfoot, and like, how would you describe the woo?
The woo is interesting. I don't mind talking about the woo, or I listen to people. It seems really incredible. But what do I know? I mean, you know, who knows? These things are spiritual, if they're entities, if they can travel in and out of portals, which is kind of the woo factor. So they can shapeshift or you know, disappear into the woods. I've heard all that stuff myself. Tracks just all of a sudden stopping.
Yeah,
that's kind of weird. I don't know what to think of it because I literally have not experienced anything like that.
Right.
I've had now I can say I've had Bigfoot experiences, but they were all audio. It's all, I heard tree knocks, I've heard whoops, I've heard them throwing rocks into the water and onto the beach. But I've not seen one yet, and I surely have not seen one disappear or turn into an orb and shoot off. Maybe they do. I don't know. Who's to say? I'm not to say. I don't know anything about the reality of that. But
what was a good woo story that somebody came in the shop and told you?
Oh gosh, there's been several people. I should say several. There's been, I think, one person. I had a lady come in here, and I think she did say that. Oh, I'll tell you. This is not a Bigfoot woo.
Right.
But this is orbs.
Ooh, orbs.
This lady, she's a customer of mine. I would have never, ever thought this would have came out of her mouth.
Right.
She's very serious when she comes. She picks up her art. She looks it over very carefully. You know, I mean, I'm not kidding. She looks at it this close. She's looking at flaws.
Every inch.
Every inch. So we're like, you know, we're sweating it. Anyway, she came in one day and she tells me the story when she was a girl at home in her bedroom, and she was in her bed, and she said she was woken up by these 3 lights.
Oh, wow.
About the size of maybe a softball. Each one of them. They're all 3 different colors.
Yeah.
And they're just floating around in her room.
Whoa.
And my jaw about hit the floor because I'm just like, what? She says, I know. You're going to think I'm crazy. That's exactly what happened. And these things float around. I was so scared. I screamed. My mom comes in, and she said they disappeared through the wall.
Wow.
And her mom comes in and said, what's wrong? She says, I see these lights, Mom. I see these lights. And her mom says, don't worry, honey, it's just a reflection from the window from the highway.
Right.
Okay. Like 20, 30 years later, somehow she's with her mother, and she brings that up. And her mother says, you know what? I didn't want to tell you this, but I saw those things float through the kitchen.
Whoa.
And they went into your bedroom.
Dang.
So, what?
And that's interesting because there's a fair amount of stories of basketball-sized orbs in the woods. They disappear, and then Bigfoot's there.
One story on A Flash of Beauty, where the artist did an illustration of it, is where that Sasquatch, though I think it was driving on a road, and he came around a corner, and there was a Sasquatch. I can't remember if he was already in this position.
Yeah.
But he turned into a square, not circle, but like a square orb.
Yeah.
And whoop, and just shot off into the sky.
Whoa, crazy.
Wow. If they can do that, then holy, no wonder we can't find them.
Yeah.
You know? But I will say, I won't mention any names.
Uh-huh.
At Area A, though, there has been, not confirmed, the gentleman who saw it still doesn't know if this is what he saw. Mm-hmm. But looking up the main trail, one time, he swears he saw a light going up the trail.
Oh, wow.
That he couldn't explain.
Wow.
There's nobody up there. There's no anybody. You know, he's very much like me. You know, when you see something crazy, you kind of, did I just see that? Or, you know, so that's where he is with that. But he did say that he saw something going up. And
to me, that's connected with Bigfoot, because that is like probably the biggest Bigfoot hotspot, one of them that I've heard of in Alaska.
It is. It's ongoing, and there's been some really unusual sounds heard by different people that go out there, that like gunshots is one of them, which isn't, maybe not so strange.
Right.
But we're not firing guns out. Nobody's firing guns.
And nobody's out there.
There's been what sounds like a car door slamming.
Right.
Has been heard. A barn door was slammed once. Guys were out halibut fishing. It sounded just like somebody just slammed a big barn door. He said he heard it clear. They're out on the boat. They heard it on the land.
Wow.
Even, this is really weird. I heard drums. Not me. A person out at Area A heard drums.
Wow.
Drums.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, what? What do you mean? You know, like drums? He said, yeah, just this constant beating.
Crazy.
So I don't know. So this is still ongoing out there. That's what's so fascinating about it.
Yeah.
I only went out there once this last summer. I just didn't have the time to do it. The owner is building mini cabins out there to rent.
Oh,
so that'll be interesting too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should even mention that here. He'll get overwhelmed with.
Right.
He already had 3 customers stay out there, so
okay.
People will be able to go out there and experience it for themselves, maybe. So.
And that's what is part of the woo factor, is just this bizarre, strange, mysterious stuff that's connected with it.
I don't know what to think, because there is so much activity out there, and I've heard it, and I'm used to some of it. But when other people, the owners, start saying, you know, they're hearing car door slamming, or, you know, or an orb, or just unusual drums.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think of that.
Yeah, crazy.
Other than maybe something worldly, I don't know what it would be.
Yeah.
If you said it was people, it's people sneak over there all the time. I could believe that. Okay.
Right.
But there's no people there.
Wow.
If there were people there, we would see them. They would have to have a boat.
Right.
And they would most likely be anchored in the cove.
Yeah.
Or they'd have a float plane drop them off. And we would definitely hear and see that.
Yeah.
It's just unusual. It's very unusual. To this day, it's unusual.
Very strange.
I love going out there. Just what's going to happen this time?
Yeah.
Sometimes nothing happens. And then you go out there again, nothing happens. Then you go out there again, and just something crazy happens. And that whole vicious cycle starts again.
Oh, my God.
But it's interesting out there. But yeah, I don't want to say that the person that saw it does not believe in the woo factor at all, too.
Wow.
I'll tell you that. He didn't, so he has a hard time even talking about it.
Right.
And I won't mention his name at all, but I kind of went, whoa, really? Because here it is. I didn't ask for it. I didn't ask if you ever seen any live. No, he brought it up to me.
Right.
And that was interesting. Because I wasn't asking for that. He doesn't go there.
Yeah.
So he went there because he saw something.
Right.
And that's kind of interesting. I don't know. I have not seen anything like that out there, but maybe I will.
I hope so. All right. Well, everybody check out the BigfootArtGallery.com. Is that the website?
BigfootArtGallery.com.
And on Facebook. You can even
Facebook.
Contact him through the Facebook page.
Or come by and see me. It's an actual store. We actually have a parking lot.
Palmer, Alaska.
Yeah, come out here. It's a great little town.
You can't miss it. There's a mural of Bigfoot on the side of the building.
Yeah.
Several sides.
You'll be able to find it, trust me.
All right.